Well, day one of the NJCAA tournament is here, and with that, we have 4 games to cover, and it is kind of odd to say that on a Saturday instead of waiting till Monday to cover the first day of tournament play, but Hutch is here. Hutch Week is here, and it's a great bracket, and it's going to be a very interesting 4 games. Let's go ahead and jump into the one that started this tournament off at 1 o'clock Eastern Time. Connor State against John A. Logan. Like I said, this game was John A. Logan against Connor State, the 16 seed against the 17 seed. For the winner gets the right to play the number 1 seed, Snow. With that being said, this game was back and forth all day long. It was a 1-point game at the half, and then Connor State had some momentum and was able to close it out, winning this game 80-75. Looking at the stats here, Connor State was 28 of 61 shooting, while John A. Logan was 29 of 59. Logan was 49% from the floor, Connor State 45% of the floor. Logan relied a lot on the 3-ball, notching 12 of them. However, it was not enough, as free throw disparity here was the big key story, as Connor State was 22 of 26 from the stripe, while Logan was only 5 of 9. Rebounding was about the same. Assists, Logan had 18 of them compared to the 9 for Connor State. But for those of you returning to the channel, turnovers is what doomed the Volunteers of John A. Logan. They had 17 of them compared to the Cowboys of Connor State 9, and Connor State proved that was enough, as they had 18 points off those turnovers, while Logan had 15 points. Connor State also dominated the points in the paint here with 46 compared to Logan's 18, and they had 12 second chance points compared to Logan's 10. Logan did get a lot of bench play though, however, and that helped them 29-10 in the bench. But like I said, this was a back and forth game. Logan led it by as much as 10, and Connor State won it by 5. Let's go ahead and look at the game broken down by halves. First, for Connor State, Jeremiah Johnson had 4 points in the first half. DJ Dolmu had 12. He was 5 of 8 shooting. And then Eric Walls was 3 of 8 shooting, and he finished with 6 points. Edwin Daniel finished with 7 off of a 3 of 4 shooting performance, while John A. Logan, on the hand, relied heavily on Devarius Lowry, 8 of 9 in the first half for 19 points. Marcus Eves, 4 of 5 for 8. Was the scoring for Logan, and Caden Hawkins came off the bench with 6 points off of 2 made 3-pointers. So let's go ahead and look at the second half, how that changed things. Well, Domu continued to have a great second half. He was 9 of 10 from the foul stripe, and he had 13 points in the second half, while Edwin Daniel was 6 of 9 and had 14 points for the Cowboys. Again, they didn't have a lot of bench play, did Connor State. John A. Logan, on the other hand, Eves didn't score. Darkel Payne didn't score in the second half. Lowry continued an impressive game with 9 points in the second half, but he was shut down too. They had to rely on Caden Hawkins off the bench, a 3 of 6 performance for 10 points in the second half. And again, when we're talking about Hutch here, that's not enough, especially when the game was only 1 point at the break with you winning, and then 2 of your starters can't get into the scoring column. So Coach Tyler Smith-Peters' season ends as a first-round exit at Hutch. Connor State moves on to play Snow. Once again, a huge win for Connor State, as John A. Logan falls here in the first round. Connor State will play Snow on Monday at noon Central Time, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. And after that great game, let's double up on it with Triton against Columbia State. The 15 seed Triton Trojans against the Columbia State Chargers. In this one, It was an interesting game, back and forth affair. A lot less scoring in this one compared to the Logan game, as Triton wins and will advance to face the 2-seed Cowley. Here in this one, they win it 58-55. Let's go ahead and look at the stats here for the Trojans and the Chargers. Columbia State started this game off and was 22 of 70, while Triton couldn't really get it going offensively, 19 of 61. Both teams did not shoot it great. It was the three-pointers for Triton, who was 6 of 29 compared to Columbia State's 4 of 15 from behind the arc, and the free throw advantage of 17-10 that helped the Triton College team out. Columbia State did win the rebounding battle 50-42. However, the turnover battle was tied at 11. Second chance points favored Columbia State, while the points off turnovers also favored the Chargers, while Triton only had 8 points and 6 second chance points, respectively. Also, the points in the paint favored Columbia State. And again, this is one of those weird ones where you tie in the turnovers, you win the rebounding battle, and you still lose the game. It was basically the three-pointers that saved the Trojans here. As the bench, both teams utilized that heavily. Triton had a lead as large as 5, and Columbia State led it as many as 7. So, once again, Triton able to, in a defensive battle, win this ballgame. Let's look at the first half stats. First, for the Chargers of Columbia State, they were led by McKee Wright, who was 4 of 7 for 9 points. As a leading starter point, but they didn't have any other points for the starters. Nobody else scored. Simeon Williams took 6 shots. Trevian Comage had 1 field goal, and he finished with 2. Those are your scores for the first half for the Chargers, starter-wise. Your bench saved you, as Thaddeus Johnson was 4 of 8, 2 of 4 from behind the arc, and he finished with 10 points. Emmanuel Allen was 2 of 4 from the field, and he had 4 points. Terrell Reeves had 2, and Jamison Glass has 2 as well. For the Trojans of Triton, it was Pecor Maker, who was 1 of 5 from the field, 4 of 4 from the foul line, and he had 6 points. VJ Wallace was 2 of 8 from the field and had 7 points in the first half, and Dejon Anderson had 5 points, starters for Triton. They too had to rely a little bit on their bench. Chase Coleman was 3 of 4, 1 of 2 from behind the arc, and had 7 points as well. It was really the rebounding battle here, as you see for Triton in the first half. They just continued. Everybody had almost everybody who played had a rebound for Triton. Tulu Samuels led the way for Columbia State, excuse me. Almost everybody had one for Columbia State. Tulu Samuels for Triton led the way with 8 rebounds there. In the second half, we see a little bit different story as Columbia State got some more scoring. Wright was 3 of 9 in the second half, good for 6 points, and had 4 rebounds as well. Tavion Camarge was 3 of 6 from the field and had 7 points, while Williams was 1 of 5 and had 4 points. But again, rebounding kept Columbia State in this ballgame, as well as their bench, not as much, with Thaddeus Johnson only having 4 points and Emmanuel Allen only having 2. That led to the low second half point total. This was just a low scoring game either way around. Both teams could not get a handle on the rims here at the sports arena, but Triton handled it a little bit better, as Anderson finished with 8 points in the second half. Wallace had 9, and both had 2 rebounds, as well as Samuels once again led the way with 5 rebounds, even though he did not score that many points. Hassan Dorman was 2 of 3 off the bench, and he had 4 points, And again, Chase Coleman leading the way for the Triton team with 2 of 5 shooting from behind the arc. And he finished with 6 points in the second half, again, leading them to the win. Again, this was a 4-point game at the break at 29-25. Ugly game if you're an offensive fan. A very good defensive back-to-back games here. And Triton, once again, advances to take on Cali, and they will play that game Monday as well at 2:30 Eastern Time. Game 3 proved to be a very good one as it took overtime for these two teams to decide a winner. Monroe edges out Chipola 79-78 in the extra period. And boy, this game was a tale of two halves. Let me tell you, Monroe trailed by 12 at the break and was able to come back. Let's go ahead and look at some of this stuff now. And once again, as we look at this, notice how this is a little bit different. This game, as I'm recording it, literally just finished up. Monroe, as you see here, steal by Farquhar Mosley, sealed the game for the Mustangs. And you see here, 23-35 at the break. Chipola had this game in the bag, and Monroe came out like gangbusters. 41-29 outscored them in the second half, and in the overtime beat them 15-14. Monroe had a lot of other opportunities to win this game. Clock management was not their best issue tonight, and that kept Chipola in the game. Chipola hit a couple key threes as well towards the end of regulation. But without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into this. Monroe was 25 of 59, while Chipola was 30 of 75. Again, both teams not really shooting the ball all that well. Better comparatively to the Triton Columbia State game, but still under 50%. Actually, that's really good, to be honest with you. 9 of 24 from behind the arc for Monroe, while Chipola was 6 of 32. Monroe went to the line 29 times, made 20 of them, while Chipola was 12 of 16. Again, they made a lot of key free throws when they needed to. They were down by 2 with 1.8 left, and they were able to tie the ball game up to send it to overtime. Turnovers galore in this game. Monroe with 23, Chipola with 15. And you see the points off turnover. Chipola helped themselves a little bit, 19-13 in that category. Monroe did win the rebounding battle, 44-38. And you see the offensive rebounds and defensive rebounds right here. They also had 6 key block shots. Foul-wise, 25 for Chipola, 16 for Monroe. Bench points, again, Chipola leaned heavily on the bench. Monroe relied heavily on their starters. Points in the paint favored the Indians here, 48-26. And they were also able to get out and run 17-4 in that category as well. Individual stats, I won't have it by half for this game because these stats are so fresh. For Monroe, they were led by Devere Palmer, who was 6 of 11 from the field, 5 of 7 from the free throw line, had 6 defensive rebounds, and 17 points. Ray Williams Jr. was 6 of 14, 4 of 8 from behind the arc for the Mustangs, and had 7 defensive rebounds. He finished with 16. Jordan Sanders was 3 of 8 shooting. He finished with 15 points and had 4 assists, while Hassan Washington was 4 of 6 shooting, had 9 rebounds total, 7 of them being defensively, and finished with 11 points. And Farquhar Mosley was 3 of 7 shooting, 2 of 4 from behind the arc, and he got that last steal to seal the game for Monroe. He finished with 9 points. For Chipola, they were led by Donald Brigham Jr., who was 8 of 17, 2 of 7 from behind the arc, but a perfect 5 for 5 from the free throw line, had 4 rebounds and an assist. He finished this season with 23 points. Grace Alma was 9 of 15 shooting, 3 of 6 from behind the arc. He had 4 rebounds, and he finished with 22 points. Trenton Lincoln was the third Indian in double figures starter-wise, with 5 of 13 shooting from the field and having 14 points. And actually, he's the last player to score in double figures for that. Antonio Baker did foul out in this game with 6 points. He was 3 of 11 shooting. And again, Chipola lived and died by the 3. It helped them towards the end of the ball game, but could not get it started going in the extra period. Once again, this game started at 5:30 Eastern or Central Time, 6:30 Eastern Time, and it concluded just a couple minutes ago. So once again, a huge victory. Our first major upset in this tournament. Monroe, the 20 seed, beats Chipola, the 13 seed in this one, and now we only have one game left. Monroe will take on South Plains Monday night, 6:30 Eastern Time. And the final game of the docket had Three Rivers taking on Vincennes, a battle of the blue bloods between these two teams. Three Rivers had a coach that's a Hall of Famer, and Vincennes currently has a coach that is a Hall of Famer in junior college. Coach Best for Three Rivers was the coach for them for a long time. Coach Franklin, obviously, for the Trailblazers, and Vincennes picks up this win, 69-51 on to close out the night, and it was the highest point margin of day one, but it did not come easy for the Trailblazers as we look at the stats. They led 32-25 at the break and able to extend it out a little bit further, 37-26 in the second half for that 18-point win. Three Rivers shot 20 of 59 for 33.9% from the field. Vincennes shot a white-hot and best shooting performance of the night, 25 of 48, good for 52.1% on the night. They were 6 of 14 from behind the arc, while Three Rivers was 5 of 20. Three Rivers only got to the line 7 times, while Vincennes made a killing of 13 of 19. Vincennes did turn the ball over 12 times. However, they forced 13 turnovers from Three Rivers, but that didn't hurt either team as both teams only scored 6 points off those turnovers. Vincennes also won the rebounding battle 34-29, a lot of them coming on the defensive side of the ball. Foul-wise, once again, not big. Vincennes winning the bench point battle here, 18-15. Second chance points was in favor of the Raiders, 12-3 on that point. However, Vincennes did control the paint, winning that battle 32-28. Three Rivers also had a slight advantage in the fast break points, 6-4. Again, just like the Monroe game, this game just finished up, so I don't have scoring by the half like I did in the first 2 games of the day. But for Three Rivers, they were led by a couple of different players. Ethan Johnson, who was 5 of 12 and 3 of 7 from behind the arc. He finished with 13 points, as did Demetrius White, who was 6 of 14 from the field and had 1 3-pointer. He also had 4 rebounds for them, 13 points. Matt Hampton was 3 of 14 for Three Rivers, 6 of 6 from the foul line, had 6 assists to go along with 4 rebounds, and finished with 12 points on the year, to end his season. For the Trailblazers, they were led by LeBron Thomas, who was 4 of 6 shooting from the field, 1 of 1 from behind the arc, and 9 of 9 from the free throw line. That is a typical LeBron Thomas stat line, also having 7 assists to go along with 3 rebounds. He did battle some foul trouble earlier in the game. He finished with the team-high 18 points. Michael Cooper, good to see him back after a subpar performance by his standards in the district tournament. He finished 6 of 11 shooting from the field, 1 of 2 from behind the arc, had 5 rebounds to go along with an assist. He finished with 14 points. Travell Bryson was the other Trailblazer in double figures, 4 of 9 shooting, 2 of 6 from behind the arc, had 5 rebounds to go along with an assist. He finished with 10 points. Dayton Williams, before he fouled out in the game, had 4 of 7 shooting, from the field, and Brian Akonmu, 3 of 6 from the field. And Hussein El Miraji was 3 of 4 from the field. Williams finished with 9 points, Akonmu with 8, and El Miraji with 6 points total. Once again, Vincennes able to pull out a big-time win. Again, difficult opponent for Vincennes. Difficult draw for both these teams, as you don't want to see a blue blood lose, and one of them had to tonight. And for Vincennes fans, luckily your team was not it. For Three Rivers, heck of a season. You beat Triron to get to this point. For Vincennes, your road doesn't get any easier, as you have to face Indian Hills Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. That's going to do it for this episode. For these 4 teams that play tonight and for the 4 teams that play tomorrow, they're going to have an advantage going into the Sweet 16. Playing at Hutch for the first game, just to see how those Rems play. You get the depth perception a little bit better than the teams that had the first round bye. On the other hand, it's a very interesting tournament. Again, a couple of upsets in Connor State and Monroe. Triron and Vincennes, the lower seeds, they win tonight as well. It was a very fun first game. I'm still not used to having day 1 be on a Saturday night. I am definitely used to it starting on Monday at 10 a.m. and going throughout the course of Monday and then going through there. I'm going to give this format a shot because it seems to work out for some of these teams, as they will have a day off in between each round. And I think that's what the tournament committee wanted to do. Again, Vincennes, Triron, Connor State, and Monroe, your day 1 winners in this 2025 NJCAA tournament. Day 2 starts tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern Time, and I will be here for the recap of those games. Until then, peace.